They called them the Phantom Couple, a pair of strangers who arrived quietly in a small town, their presence almost unnoticed at first. Anna and Mark, two names that soon became whispered in every corner of that close-knit community, but for reasons no one could have imagined. They were charming, confident, and they knew exactly how to win people over. The town was a place where everyone knew everyone, where trust was currency, and where newcomers usually struggled to break in. But not these two. From the moment they rented the small house on Main Street, they slipped seamlessly into the fabric of everyday life. Anna was soft-spoken, yet persuasive, always ready with a smile that made people feel they could trust her. Mark, tall and confident, carried an air of success despite no one knowing much about his past. Together, they made a perfect team, attending local events, volunteering for community projects, and frequenting the corner cafe where townsfolk gathered after work. The couple quickly became a fixture, sharing stories of big dreams and promising futures. At first, their requests were small. Anna mentioned her car had broken down and casually asked a neighbor for a loan to fix it, promising to pay back next month. Mark talked about starting a business and needed just a bit of seed money. These requests, carefully timed and delivered with convincing sincerity, were easy for their new friends to grant. After all, they were part of the community now, or so it seemed. But as weeks passed, the loans increased. What began as small favors soon turned into significant sums of money lent without contracts, without paperwork, just a handshake and a promise. Local business owners, charmed by the couple's charisma and their convincing plans, invested cash into what they believed was a shared vision. People lent tools, cars, even personal belongings. Every promise was backed by a smile and a story of inevitable success. Then came the whispers. Rumors that Anna and Mark weren't quite what they seemed, that their stories didn't add up. One by one, people started asking questions. Where was the business? Why wasn't the loan repaid? Where did they go whenever asked? The couple was always ready with excuses, delays, unexpected setbacks, emergencies, but no one could find any proof of progress. Suddenly, Anna and Mark disappeared. No warning, no explanations. The rented house was empty, the phone disconnected, the online profiles vanished. The town was left with empty pockets and broken trust. People who had loaned money, tools, and goodwill were stunned. Police reports were filed, but with little evidence and no clear trail, investigations went cold quickly. Yet the story didn't end there. The Phantom Couple had carefully plotted their moves long before arriving in town. Their target was not just money, it was vengeance. Deep beneath their charming facades hid a dark history filled with betrayal and pain. Anna and Mark were not merely opportunists, but avengers in disguise. Years earlier, they had been victims of a brutal scam themselves, a scheme that destroyed their lives, their savings, and their trust in others. The perpetrators were a group of influential locals from this very town, people who held power and influence, who never faced justice. Anna and Mark spent years planning, building a new identity, and learning how to manipulate trust like no one else. Their return to the town was no accident. It was calculated. Each loan, each favor asked, was a move on a chessboard designed to unsettle those who had wronged them. The money they took was a mere distraction, a byproduct of a larger game. The real goal was to expose, to disrupt, to make those responsible suffer the same way they had. As their scheme unfolded, tensions rose. Suspicion grew. The town's peaceful facade cracked, revealing fractures beneath. But Anna and Mark were careful, always one step ahead. They used forged documents, fake contacts, and well-crafted lies to confuse and mislead. No one could pin them down, and every attempt to catch them only tightened the web. Meanwhile, the victims of the original scam, once silent, began to emerge. People who had lost everything to the powerful few saw Anna and Mark's actions as a sign of hope, even if risky. Whispers turned into conversations. Fear gave way to curiosity. Was this just another con, or something more? And then, the unexpected happened. Anna reached out secretly to a few of those she trusted most, sharing fragments of her true story. Mark hacked into local records, uncovering long-buried secrets of corruption and deceit that tied the town's elite to crimes nobody dared speak about. The couple was no longer just stealing money, they were stealing silence. But with every revelation, the danger grew. The powerful people who had thrived on lies and manipulation noticed the threat. Quiet warnings turned into aggressive threats. Surveillance increased. Attempts to discredit the phantom couple intensified. They became hunted. Yet Anna and Mark thrived in the shadows. Their identities as victims gave them a unique strength, and their skill at deception kept them elusive. The town became a battleground of secrets and lies, with the phantom couple orchestrating a symphony of chaos, exposing truths, and forcing justice in their own way. What seemed like a simple scam had morphed into a complex war of revenge, and the town, once so trusting, was left wondering, who were the real victims? Who were the real villains? The phantom couple's story was far from over. In the next chapter, the consequences of their actions would shake the foundations of the town. The lines between justice and revenge would blur, and the ultimate price of betrayal would finally be paid. The town was on edge. After months of deception, broken trust, and unanswered questions, the quiet community that once welcomed Anna and Mark now whispered their names with a mix of fear and fascination. The phantom couple had disappeared again, but this time, their impact was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. As the truth began to surface, those who had been fooled found themselves grappling not only with financial loss, but with the reality that they had been pawns in a far greater game. The web Anna and Mark had spun was vast, intricate, and deeply personal. It was a trap designed to bring down the very people who had shattered their lives years before. Behind closed doors, the town's elite grew restless. The powerful figures Anna and Mark had targeted started to feel the walls closing in. Secrets long buried began to resurface. Anonymous messages leaked to the press, exposing corrupt deals, illegal schemes, and abuses of power. The once untouchable were suddenly vulnerable. But the phantom couple wasn't finished. From the shadows, they executed their next moves with precision and cold calculation. Using the money they had stolen, they hired investigators, hackers, and insiders. Every resource was funneled into dismantling the fortress of lies built by their enemies. The local police, initially overwhelmed and dismissive, found themselves pressured by mounting public outrage and incriminating evidence. Investigations reopened, suspects were questioned, and for the first time, a crack appeared in the armor of the town's ruling class. Yet justice did not come peacefully. Anna and Mark's war on corruption ignited a backlash. Threats escalated into violence. Their allies were intimidated, and some disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The couple knew the risk, but revenge demanded sacrifice. Amid the chaos, a critical piece of evidence emerged. A ledger containing names, dates, and transactions tying the town's leaders to fraudulent activities. The document, stolen from a hidden safe by Anna herself, became the key to exposing the full extent of the conspiracy. Public protests erupted, demanding accountability and transparency. The media swarmed the town, and national attention followed. For a community used to silence, the spotlight was both a curse and a blessing. But even as Anna and Mark felt their plan reaching fruition, a haunting question lingered. Could justice truly be served through deception and crime? Was their vengeance justified, or had they become the very villains they sought to punish? The answer came unexpectedly. One night, Mark was caught on surveillance trying to retrieve a piece of evidence from a rival's property. The police finally had their break. Anna was arrested shortly after. The phantom couple's reign ended not with a dramatic escape, but with handcuffs in courtrooms. Their trial captivated the nation. The courtroom became a battleground of stories: victims versus perpetrators, truth versus lies, justice versus revenge. Anna and Mark's defense painted them as victims turned vigilantes, while prosecutors sought to depict them as dangerous criminals. In the end, the truth was murky. Some saw them as heroes who forced justice when no one else would. Others condemned their methods and consequences. The town was left divided. Years later, the scars of the phantom couple's scam remained. The town had changed. Some leaders replaced, some reforms enacted, but the wounds lingered. Anna and Mark's story became a legend, a cautionary tale about trust, betrayal, and the blurry line between right and wrong.